Hey everybody, welcome to our Codea Lua TicTacToe tutorials. So today we are going to look at several different things. We're going to look at drawing the background and the layout of our TicTacToe board. We do want it in the middle of the screen there. And I'm going to use a black background, so if you want to set that up, that would be a good thing. I do have my setup class up here. And you can copy this if you'd like. I'll put this in the description there where you can copy over all of these different colors. I have gone through and created several different colors there. Looks like I've got about 30 colors. That goes all the way from 3 different shades of red and orange and yellow and so forth, all the way down to black. So you can use whatever color you want. But I'm going to have black as my background, make it a little bit easier. We're going to start drawing the lines in the screen. Now I want the lines to be almost a third of the way through the screen. So let's try and set that up here in just a minute. We're going to have our stroke. Remember, with strokes, you're going to want to have the color, and then you're going to want to have the stroke width. And this is for the line. And we're going to do it about 2 pixels. Let's start off with the left line here. And I'm going to put a comment here so I know what I'm doing. Comments are very, very helpful because when we come back here and we have almost 100 lines of code by the end, we're going to want to be able to know what we're doing here. So I'm going to do that as well. Let's create our first line, and let's just do it. Let's just do it about 20% of the screen. All right, let's start with 40%. Let's do 40% and about 20% of the height up, and let's make it. I don't know, about 40%, and height would be 80%. So this is where it's going to go. So as it draws there, looks like that's about in the third of the screen, right? Because it's going to have to cut off the screen in a third, but you do have some space to the left in order for you to tap where it's going to go. So let's do our right line here. And that one worked out well, so let's do line. So if that one started at width of 40, now we don't want width of 40, let's try width of 60. The height is going to be the same, and the width is going to be also the same, but the height is going to be the same as the previous line. So there it is. Boom. Okay, cool. So notice we're starting, because the left line starts down at height 20, so does the right line, and they go up to H80, height 80% of the screen. And those are all set up in the setup class again, and that's what we called up there on line 4. If you haven't done that yet, make sure you do that. We're going to do the bottom line here. And let's do this. Let's create, I don't know, it's going to have to go, well, we started width of 40, so let's do width of 20 and about height of 40. And the width is going to go all the way across, so we went to 60, so let's go to 80. And then let's do height of 40 because the height stays the same. Let's see how that looks. Sweet, that's looking really good. And let's do our top line now. And width is going to be the same. It's going to be width 20. Now the height's going to be different, so let's try height 60. Width is going to be the same up top there, and the height is going to be what we did previously. So there it is. So that is really, really nice. That looks like a good tic-tac-toe board. And the reason why we do percentages, and let me just kind of explain that here just a second. Those, again, are set up in your setup class. But the reason why I do percentages is because the resolution of many different devices are all different. And so, for example, the resolution of this one is on the right side there. You've got this parameter output right here. Well, that cuts off the resolution of the screen. So, for example, if I minimize that, notice he is now on the left side and you've got a big gap over there. But if I hit the refresh, it goes in, and now you have this awesome tic-tac-toe board that splits it on the left side, middle, and the right side there. And that's what we're looking for. And because it's percentages, you have to hit refresh because it's got to do that calculation for you. But that is really helpful. Instead of doing like 100 pixels here, 200 pixels, 300, 400, 500, and so forth, it would look different on different devices. So that's why we do this specific format with the widths of percentages. I really like doing it that way. It makes it very easy. All right, so now we have to figure out the dimensions of each of these different coordinates or sections of the tic-tac-toe board. All right, so I'm going to put these on the screen here, and I want you to think about what that's going to look like. All right, so my top section there, it starts on the bottom left, which is width of 20, height of 60. and it goes over to the width of 40 and the height of 80. So if your tap is anywhere in this square right here, from the width of 20, H60, W40 to H80, then it's going to register something. So for example, let's just do that real quick. And we will say if your current touch dot X is greater than the width of 20 and current touch dot X is less than width of, oh, what did we say what it was? Width of 40, then we're going to test now if the current dot touch dot Y is greater than the height of 60 and current dot touch of Y is less than height of 80. Make sure you have the then there, you can't see it. So if that's the case, we're going to fill a rectangle with blue, and we are going to make it with those same dimensions. It's going to start off W20 and H60, and then it's going to be, looks like it is W20 and H20. That's how big it's going to be. We're going to put our end statements here, and then we're going to hit refresh. And now if I tap there, it puts a blue circle there, or blue square there. Does that make sense? Because you have the dimensions. It goes down here from the width of to 20% to 40%, and then height 60% to height 80%. So we could, what we need to do now is go and calculate the, set these up here on each of these different squares. Now, in the long run, yes, we could do this. We could set up, oh, I don't know, 9 different if-then statements here. One for the top left, one for the middle, one for the top right, and so forth. But there's actually an easier way for us to do this with tables and arrays. And if you haven't got a refresher on that, I would highly recommend that you go back and do that, because this will be really helpful for us. It'll shrink our code tremendously. Okay, so we're going to do that here. Now what we're going to do is this is going to be up in our setup function, and we are going to create an array called board, and I'm going to bring it down a little bit because it's going to get pretty big here. And this is how I'm going to label it. The first one will have TL as a label. It's the first square, top left. And it has a bottom left coordinate of W20 and H60, right? That's this right here, W20, H60. Well, the top right coordinate is W40 and H80. And I'm going to put a couple more things here. And well, we'll just do that for right now, okay? So that is the top left square. So TL, we're going to label this one TL. And it's the first square. This will be the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. And this is the bottom left, which is W20, H60 again, and the top right, which is W40, H80. So now I'm going to put a comma, and I want you to go in, and now I want you to fill out the top middle, and this is the second square, and we'll just kind of go along with this one again, so you can make sure you see what you're doing. W40, H60, and W60, H80. All right? That puts the next one, that's the middle one, to W40, H60 to W60, H80. Go along there, pause the video for me, and fill out the rest of these for me, all the way down. So TL, TM, TR for top right, middle L, middle left, middle middle, middle right, and so forth, all the way down, bottom left, bottom middle, and bottom right. So pause the video, and I want you to fill out that array yourself. All right, is this what you have? Double check it with mine here. Should have it set up something very similar to this. Top left, top middle, top right, middle left, middle middle. Now, are these first labels here, are they necessary? No, they're really not. They're just there for my understanding. And what I'd like to do, and I can also set up a comment section up here, so that I know that the first position, what is that? Well, that's the label. The second position, that is the position of the square, how I've labeled it. And the third one is the bottom left X coordinate, and 4 is the bottom left Y coordinate. Does that make sense? And then the fifth position is the top right X position, and the 6th position is the top right Y position. So these will help me as I go along, because if I don't remember what this array represents, this will help me here. Okay, awesome. All right, well, let's look at this here. Now we've got all of these set up. This is a good labeling system. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go down here into our draw function, and we're going to set up a couple different things here. This is going to set up our current touch position, and we're going to use a for loop and an if-then statement. And what we're going to do is we're going to say for t, we'll do t for the touch, is 1 through 9. We want to do this. We're going to check all 9 of these squares. Okay, we're going to check all 9 of those squares, and let's do that. And we're going to say that if the current touch dot x, now this is a little format here of our board. So if I say t, let me type it in real quick, and then I'll explain it here in just a second. All right, so what I've done here on the bottom is we have a for statement. You guys remember those in the conditional video that I taught you. It's going to start off with t is 1. So as it comes through here, it goes to current touch.x. It's looking for your x position of your current touch. So for example, if I go in here and I touch in between these two right here, it will say go to, if it's in between there, go to board 1. So it goes to board, the first array, which is this list right here. Okay, so it's going to go into the first one, the top left, and if my x touch is greater than that first list in 3, 1, 2, 3. So if it's greater than the width of 20% of the width. So that's actually calling it up right there. It's saying 20% of the width. And coming over here, t is still 1, going to the 5th one. Well, what's the 5th one? Width of 40. So now it's going here. And it's saying if it is greater than this and less than this, your touch will be registered. This will be true. Now what we're going to do is another current touch.y, and we're going to say if it is greater than board of t, this is the same thing here, and 4. Now why 4? Go back up there, and the 4th one in the list, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th one is the y coordinate, right? That's the height. That's from h60. We want to test to see if it's from here to here. So we will do, again, current touch. See, pause the video and see if you can do your own there. All right, format it just like the X one there, and you'll see how that goes here. All right, does it look something like that? So if it is in between the X coordinate here and there, and the Y coordinate there to there, then what are we going to do? Let's do a rectangle and just test it out, okay? Let's make that fill be blue again. And let's make a rectangle. We want it to be the bottom left coordinate, which is board T3. And we want it to be up top, that one as well, which is board T4. Because 3 is the first X coordinate, 4 is the Y coordinate. Now, what's the height going to be? It's going to be there to there, and that is just a width of 20% and a height of 20%, I believe. That is, this right here is 20% of the screen, and that's 20% of the height. So if we do that, let's put an end statement here, come back here, put an end statement here, and we actually need one more end statement to end the loop, okay? Now, let's try this here. Let's tap on it and see if it pops up. Boom, that one worked. Boom, that one worked. Boom. So every single one of these is testing for where I am touching. How awesome is that, right? So we are now looking at, we've drawn the specific for loop so that we can draw these blue squares all over the tic-tac-toe board. Pretty rad. That's really, really good. All right, so take a breather. Look over that. If you're not, if you're having trouble, go back and read it. Definitely the biggest trouble you're going to have here, I would think, is dealing with this array, this list up here from 9 to 18. That's a big struggle. Try and go through it step by step, saying, hey, what is T first? T, the first time through, is 1. And imagine that's the first one, and then this 3 is the third in the list there. Okay, so this is part 1 there of our tic-tac-toe board. We've got our tic-tac-toe board set up, and we have the colors in there. We have the register of the tap on each of the specific sections. pretty good progress so far today. All right, we'll see you in the next tutorial as we get the X's and the Y's set up.